Hi everyone, my name is Rosemary. Welcome to week 4 of my weather observations. I am located in Fairbanks, Alaska. My weather observations were taken January 26th through January 30th, which would be Monday through Friday. All of my observations were taken anywhere from 9:30 a.m. being the earliest and 10:40 a.m. being the latest, so approximately 10 o'clock a.m. every single day, Alaska Standard Time. I compared my weather observations to the National Weather Service data from Fairbanks International Airport. That was the closest location to me. However, one thing to note is I am located up in the hills in Fairbanks, so on average the temperatures that I recorded were a couple degrees warmer than what would have been recorded at the airport. So just kind of a quick recap on the weather observations that I had. My current temperatures on January 26th were -29 below, January 27th -26, January 28th -21, January 29th -30, and January 30th -25. The max temperatures are as followed: January 26th -24, January 27th -19, January 28th -17, January 29th -20, and January 30th -22. For the minimum temperatures I had on January 26th, I had -31, January 27th, I had -29, January 28th, I had -23, January 29th, I had -34, and January 30th, I had -31. My current and my minimum temperatures seem to follow what the National Weather Service said, however mine were a little bit higher. Again, that's due to the fact that I live up in the hills. As you can see according to the graph, the National Weather Service's data seems to kind of have a pattern of going up, down, and then back up again. That is exactly the same thing that I got with my current and my minimum temperatures. They seem to kind of go up and then back down and then up again. However, my maximum temperature got a little bit messed up because it was catching a little bit of heat when I opened my door. This did not affect my minimum and my current. The max wasn't really following the trend, as you can see, and some of the readings I got from my left and right max were nowhere near each other. So kind of looking at here, I got some pretty odd readings from that. The barometric pressure that I ended up getting from my weather observations are as follows. On January 26th, I had 1,022 millibars. January 27th, I also had 1,022 millibars. January 28th, I had 1,029 millibars. January 29th, I had 1,032 millibars, and January 30th, I had 1,043 millibars. On days 1 and 2, the barometric pressure that I got was the exact same, as you can see here. So by day 3, my barometric pressure started to go up, and it continued this upward trend for the remainder of the week. As you can see, my readings seem to be just about in line with what the National Weather Service got, so that was kind of neat to see that I at least got that part right. Just kind of a little reminder, I am located in Fairbanks, Alaska, so interior Alaska, which would be approximately in this area. There are several high-pressure systems over the interior of Alaska and northern Canada. There are low-pressure systems in the southern part, which are starting to push against the high systems. This is creating a stationary front. During this day, there were low-lying clouds, and kind of thinking back on it now, these clouds may have even been ice fog. There was very minimal wind. On the Beaufort scale, it would be a 0 or a 1. The high-pressure system stayed in place, and some of the cold air from those pressure systems had started to overtake the stationary front and created an occluded front. which you can kind of see in here. My weather observation for Tuesday was pretty similar to Monday. Low-lying clouds, and the wind was a 0 on the Beaufort scale. Wednesday, January 28th, the highs are still in the same place, and the remainder of the stationary front has been overtaken by the occluded front. Same weather observation on Wednesday. There were light clouds, and again, there was barely any wind, the wind being a 0 on the Beaufort scale. High-pressure systems are still over the interior, but a low-pressure system has started in Siberia and is trying to push towards Alaska, as you can see right here. Thursday, there were a few more clouds, and in addition to the low-lying clouds, there were also some clouds that were directly above me. These clouds appeared to be cirrocumulus, and the wind was probably a 1 on the Beaufort scale. I could tell this because I couldn't feel the effect of wind on my face. However, when I was looking at the different chimneys around my neighborhood, I could see that the smoke wasn't going straight up. It was going slightly off to the northeast. For Friday, the last day of my observations, the pressure over the interior continued to increase, and the cold front that was approaching from Siberia did not appear to have moved any closer. Just kind of stayed there. There were a few more clouds today, and again, they were mainly low-lying clouds, and there were a few that appeared directly above me. Those again appeared to be cirrocumulus. On Friday, the wind picked up a little bit. It was a 2 on the Beaufort scale. I could tell this because I could see the effect of wind on the trees, and I could also feel the wind just slightly on my face. Also, one thing to note is all week there was no precipitation. On Monday, the visible image showed little to no clouds over interior Alaska, which matches the observations that I took. The infrared showed the interior was pretty cold, but it didn't give any info on the height of the clouds, this being due to the fact that there were hardly any clouds. For the water vapor map, it showed a thin blanket of humidity all over the interior. My assumption is that this would be because of the ice fog that we had in the low-lying areas. All right, well, thank you everyone for watching my 4th week, and I hope the rest of you have a great week. Thanks.